You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the pod. Today, Robin, I'll be your host with me and myself, Kev, while Adam's gallivanting in Greece at a wedding. We'll be reviewing the Everton match. Obviously, we came away 3-1 winners. So, first of all, how are you today, Kev?
Hey, I'm buzzing. That was such a good result. You know, you go 1-0 down like we did, and you think, oh, God, here we go, finishing the season with a whimper. And the lads reduce half-time teams. I would love to be a fly on the wall for one of them, just one. Because whatever he says, or whatever Jacques or whoever says, it inspires them. I mean, you're going to obviously talk about it all in a minute, but we're top of the league in terms of teams that have gained points from losing positions. That shouldn't happen when you're a newly promoted side. Let's be brutally honest.
No, I mean, to be fair to that, teams that are newly promoted are normally the reverse of that. They normally lose games from winning positions. You know, it's normally that way around, that they've sort of like lost more points from winning positions, not gained more points from from losing positions. So yeah, I mean, great resilience by the lads. Obviously, you know, let's start. You know, first off, I think we pretty much dominated it, and I think we were very, you know, unfortunate to go behind. Obviously, deflected shot took it past us. I mean, your take on the first half, Kev?
No, I agree with you, mate. Absolutely all over them. We wouldn't let them get the ball. When they did get the ball, we were very quick to get it straight back. You know, I've watched a couple of Everton vloggers, and all they've said is we were all over them. You know, they couldn't get out of their box. And when they could get out of the box, they couldn't get into ours. They couldn't string together two passes. And you're absolutely spot on. Their goal is one of those moments which we say we need to do more often. Just hit it and see what comes of it. In the VAR world that we're in, you're looking for either a shot, goal, deflection, which is exactly what they got, or you're hoping for a bobble, a handball, a corner, something else, aren't you? And that's what I would say we do lack sometimes, is that willingness to give it a bit of leather, so to speak. And it's a good goal in terms of the lad takes on two and essentially does exactly what Talby normally does, smashes it in to do something. And yeah, it's just that wicked deflection off. I think it was off Xhaka, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah, it was off Xhaka. You know, really unfortunate for him. Touching on that though, obviously, I mean, to me, it was against the run of play. You know, I think we really should have been ahead, but that brings me to the point of, like you just said, you know, have a shot. You know, we seem to be lacking, you know, testing out Pickford. You know, it's like we got ourselves in some really great positions, but the final product wasn't there in the first half. You know, it was a bit of a frustrating one for me because I think most people had that, oh, here we go, feeling like you said, you know, the season's petered out and we've sort of, you know, from such a promising start to the season. And then obviously we went on that run of, you know, losing games at home. And then we think, you know, the season's just gone a bit flat. And, you know, I heard like pundits and that saying of Sunderland being found out and stuff like that. But like you say, it's just the mentality. Second half, you know, we came out and we came at them. I mean, I'll get your thoughts on the second half first before I have my little bit, Kev. So, yeah, take it away, mate.
For me, the second half is exactly how the first half should have been. We should have been 3-0 up at half time and comfortably packing our bags ready to head home. But yeah, we seem to do it again in the reverse. And what I liked for me, obviously, I'll let you break down the goals. We got, for what it's worth in terms of how it happened, the substitutions worked. obviously Brobby does what he does and gets that goal. That makes it instantly a game on moment. I think as soon as Brobby smacked that in, we all went game on. And I think every fan probably then said, whoever gets the second goal goes on to win this match. Because for me, it seemed to be that Brobby goal sparked Everton into life, but we had more, if that makes sense. And then obviously he makes the substitutions. And for me, I think Diarra Rig really did change the game because it opened up another avenue. It gave us another option forward, and Everton couldn't cope with it. I mean, can I quickly just mention how did they not get a red card? The tackle on Reynildo, we've obviously missed that. In a month of Sundays, that's a red, but for some reason against us, it's a yellow and behave yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go to that first. I think he escaped the red purely because he was along the floor and it was more of the trailing leg caught him. It just looked far worse than what it was because of the way that Ronaldo got spun in the air.
Yeah,
Um, but then you look at that compared to the Kai Havertz one last night, and he's gone studs up halfway, down his calf,
yeah.
and you think he's got a yellow card on that one, and it just seems like the VAR at the moment don't really seem to want to get involved unless it's something really
That
minor,
can benefit the
like
top six.
yeah, like you might accidentally touch someone's hair, and things like that. I mean, it to me, I think it was borderline red, but I think if it had been us, I would have been a bit disappointed with a red card. It's one of those that I think if it's against you, you want the red, but if not, it's you know, you, yeah. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, while we're talking about tackles, I've got to give a special mention before we talk about the goals to Luke O'Nien. I mean, he came on in the 20th minute for Omar Alderete. He wasn't expecting to come on. I mean, I hope Omar's not badly hurt. It looked like a sort of hip while he was running, so that might be his season ended. But to be fair, Luke O'Nien at the weekend was absolutely fantastic. And if it wasn't for Enzo, I think he would have been man of the match. Um, I mean, he made three thunderous challenges where I think previously he would have mistimed those and got a red card because I think every single one was a potential red card if it had been mistimed. Because not only was the player through on goal, he was going in with such force, it would have been deemed aggressive rather than reckless. So I must say, Luke O'Nien he's astounded me in that game. He's improved again, and I mean we all said when he went from League One up to the Championship, is this a step too far for him? And yet he settled into it. We said it, at the start of the season. Even yourself, Kev, who loves Luke O'Nien, said, "Is it maybe a step too far?" And yet he's proved to be a extremely valuable member of the squad.
I think that's probably the nicest way of putting it. He's become a part of a squad. Yes, he's not a first team starter. There are occasions where he's had to, but to get brought on like he did against the run of play in a freak moment for Alderete, and I do hope he's all right because the club have said nothing. But yeah, for me, he dusted himself off straight away and got straight on with it. And yeah, I can't remember the guy's his full name, Dermot from Sky Sports, isn't it? They've got an ex-referee that goes on and says bits. And he turned around and said all three of them tackles are inch perfect.
Yeah, it's
And I would
done.
say, to be fair, they probably, in a roundabout way, won us the game. Because
Us.
if he doesn't make the dive in header, they score. If he doesn't make the slide tackle, they score. I mean, Roos is an incredible goalkeeper. I mean, gee, the save he pulled off in the second half. But I think without Luke's three crucial set blocks and tackles, realistically, Everton are in on goal on a couple of those.
Yeah, I mean, just for obviously our listeners' sake, it's Dermot Gallagher, the referee,
There we
the
go.
former
I knew
ex-ref.
you'd know.
Yeah, not to be confused with O'Leary.
No,
But
that'll be what Adam's watching in Greece.
yeah, more than likely. But yeah, he was absolutely fantastic, and we'll touch on Riffs' save as well. I mean, a lot of people will look at that and say, "Well, it's just hit him on the shoulder," but from a goalkeeping point of view, he's on his toes. He moved his feet across, so his body's in the right position. And that's the anticipation of where the ball's going to be. So yeah, absolutely fantastic save. But look, let's talk about the goals. We'll start with Brobby's. And as the commentators were moaning, I don't know why they've got this hatred towards us. It was an Everton mistake. I mean, surely a deflection for the Everton goal's a Sunderland mistake, but obviously for them it was a well worked Everton goal. Yeah, it come off Garner, the defender, who I feel was actually lucky to be on the pitch at that point, because he's had a couple of dubious challenges with Angulo, which he got away with. Obviously, the ball went to Lefay, who just spots Robbie and puts it through to him. And to be fair, Robbie's strength to, I think it's sit down Tarkovsky and then just be calm enough to wait and then just hammer the ball past Pickford. I mean, it was a fantastic goal.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, he literally sees the chance. And to be honest, when you're watching it from one of the angles, you would have expected Tarkovsky to get there. But Brobby does this wonderful thing where he stretches his leg out to block Tarkovsky getting near it. And Tarkovsky just bounces off him and ends up sliding, skidding, and ending up on his backside. And then for Brobby to still remain composed enough to smack it in at the near side post, it's not easy to beat Pickford at that side. That's yeah, he's done really well to get that goal off, and you can tell he's not 100% because when he celebrates, he doesn't exactly run to celebrate. He sort of jogs and hobbles because I think he's hurt himself in the moment. But yeah, that for me was the turn. But it genuinely was the turning point in the game because I think that gave the rest of the lads the hope to push on and not not much later on. It's substitutions and changes, and the rest is history.
I mean, I'll say to me that is the turning point. It's the substitutions. Um, I know we talked about it in the preview, and I did say I'd like to see some more attacking substitutions and bring on the pace. And whether or not Regis had listened to the pod and thought, "Hang on a minute, they know what they're talking about there. I'll give that a go." Because it worked. It was absolutely fantastic. The players he brought on, like you say, I mean, with the second night with Diarra, Isidore, and Rig, it just changed the complexion of the game. And like you say, I mean, Everton had that chance which Ruff's got across for and blocked. And then a couple of minutes later, obviously we're scoring a goal. And I must say it's, you know, Diarra, you know, pulling that ball across, and then obviously it goes back. And I thought, Rig, why are you passing that ball? Just hit it. And it seemed to just delay and take forever. And I actually do think as Enzo went to strike it, it got a little touch off the Everton defender,
It did, yeah.
which I think then took it wider than what it was originally going to be by Enzo. And I think that's what probably put it in the back of the net. But look, it counted. And then obviously, look, Wilson there being in the right place at the right time to wrap it up. I mean,
The person I felt
what?
sorry for in all of that was Seamus Coleman. because that was obviously his final game well, for Everton at home,
Yeah,
and he's to blame for the Wilson goal.
yeah. I mean,
What
after
a way
what
of
is it,
saying bye.
17 years at a club and you sign off by giving a goal away. I mean, look, the game was won at that point. You know, that was the just wrapping it up sort of thing. But yeah, it made it a little bit easier at the end. I mean, like I said, I've already given you my thoughts on man of the match was Enzo. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. You know, an assist, a goal. He was central in absolutely everything we did. And like we said in the preview, we need him in that number 10. We need him central. You know, I know at times he's played out wide through necessity because of injuries, but he is such a vital role being central for us. I mean, how do you think? I mean, you for a start, what's your take on man of the match? I mean, there's a few candidates really.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, from an attacking perspective, it's got to be Enzo. He brought so much to the game in terms of creating and making opportunities, making spaces. So yeah, I think he deserved and I think he did get it, didn't he? But if we looked at one as an attacking player of the match, it's got to be Enzo. And for me, defensive player of the match, it's Luke. That
Yeah,
that performance was probably all bar Enzo getting it man of the match
yeah, it was.
because
I said if on another day he's man of the match.
I mean he gave Beto and Barry nothing, not a sniff. Obviously, Mukiele helped out as well. Let's not be, let's not say Luke did everything, but he gave their attackers nothing. You know, it's a solid performance from someone who, as we've said before, has been written off by every fan's written him off. I'm sorry. There's probably not a single fan in the land that hasn't at some point gone, he needs to go now. And yet he's proven from League One. I mean, to be fair, he even started in League Two, not with us, but he's played at every level. But yeah, Enzo's proven he's worth every penny we spent from Roma. Absolutely every penny, because you know, yeah, he brought everything to that game. What I thought was funny, and I'd love your take on this, Rob. I know you're hosting, mate, but I thought I'd get your opinion on something. Is celebration. I have seen so much press complaining about too much celebrating going on. How is Enzo doing that with the mask worse than some of the stuff you see like Cunha when he's surfing or Mateo when he's doing the corner flag boom thing he does? How is Enzo getting a mask from a club official and celebrating something for his little brother?
Yeah, I mean it's ridiculous. I mean, football's about that. You know,
Of course it is.
you want goals in the game. You don't want games to be 0-0. You know, you want goals, you want entertaining football, and you want things like that. I mean, you know, it's absolutely brilliant. You know, like you say, I mean, I think the official photographers, gave him it, and then obviously took the pictures and stuff. And I think it's great. And then obviously you see people going, "Oh, he should have been booked for that celebration and that." And it's like, come on, the game's about entertainment. You know, it's entertaining people. You want to celebrate. I hate to see it when you see, players booked for celebrating. You know,
Yeah,
fair enough. If you're jumping into the crowd, because obviously there is a safety issue there, and that's sort of been a thing for a while, or you do what Emmanuel Adebayor did at City when he signed for them, when he ran the entire length of the pitch to celebrate in front of the Arsenal fans, because obviously he'd left there. You know, fair enough. That's like I say, it's a safety thing, and also, unsportsmanlike. But for doing something like that, that's got to be what the game's about, having fun.
right, exactly that. And I think he said to I want to say the Sky Sports reporter, I wanted to do that celebration sooner. I just haven't scored. So the poor lad's probably had that in the locker for months. What I
Yeah,
liked about it was this was one of them moments when that ball went in, they knew they could celebrate like that. That what there shouldn't have been anything in that build up that VAR could have spoiled the moment. Because that's the other thing we've got to think of these days. How often do you see goals scored and players don't know whether to go absolutely nuts and enjoy the moment or stand and wait for a referee to tell you what's happened and then go and celebrate? So yeah, I think that was probably a mixed bag of emotions of there's nothing happened in this build up that could stop this being a goal. I'm going to enjoy my moment. And he did.
I mean that's it. And obviously we'll touch on Wilson's goal as well. I mean the way he took that was top class finishing. You know
100%.
the way, and to get in at the back post as well because we've seen it before. Um, you know, players are there and there's the ball comes across like that, and there's nobody at the back post to put it in the net. So fair play to Wilson. For actually carrying on his run or getting back into his run because he was a lot deeper because I think he'd played the ball out to start with originally, hadn't he? And I think, it then came across and bypassed absolutely everybody. But yeah, the way he took it, I mean, because it wasn't easy, you know, he opened up his body and put it back across where he came from. I mean, there was the goalkeeper and two defenders to beat. And it was quite an acute angle. So, excellent finishing from him. And yeah, it's nice that it comes to this point in the season, and I know he's not featured as much as what he's wanted to, but the last couple of times he's come on, he's sort of like impacted the game and scored goals. Obviously, it's coincided maybe with his call up to Haiti for the World Cup as well, and he's got a bit more confidence because we did say earlier in the season after his daughter was born, he looked like he was lacking a bit of confidence. Just hope that this gives him a bit of confidence. And yeah, I mean, I think that's about it for the review, Kev. To be honest, unless there's anything else you can think of.
No, I agree with you, mate. It's one of them where look, we could review this for hours. It was a brilliant result, and at the end of the day, it's put us still in the conversation for Europe, which is mental. Let's be honest. We'll review this season when it ends, and to have had the conversation of Europe still going on in the middle of May for a newly promoted side is insanity. Um, Regis really does deserve to be in the manager of the year conversation, but no, I think for me, Wilson's goal was brilliant. I felt a little bit bad for him because it wasn't the winning goal, so to speak. So yes, he gets to enjoy the celebration of scoring the goal, but I think scoring the winner sometimes has that little bit different emotion. If that had been a 91st minute winner, it's a different celebration. He seemed a little bit reserved, in my opinion, but do you know what? If it gives him a bit of confidence in that final game against Chelsea, then it's done what it needed to do.
Yeah, I mean, and just imagine if, say, in that game against Chelsea, it is the 91st minute winner. Um,
That'd be
what is
pandemonium.
this? Yeah, I mean, what's the stadium like going to be like then? I mean, obviously, I know we're reviewing it, previewing it later in the week, but when you look at the possibilities of Europe, and like you say, to talk about this with one game to go, that we're in with a shout,
Yeah.
is absolutely unbelievable in our first season back in the Premier League. Um, so yeah, I mean, it's just a fantastic achievement by the entire team. So, look, we'll wrap it up there, mate. We'll come to later in the week. Obviously, we'll join back up again and preview the final match of the season. Obviously, by then we will know the results of all the other matches that have been played in game week 37, as it is now. I like to call it because obviously there's a couple which are ongoing tonight. Um, so yeah, so Kev, thanks for joining me, mate.
Yeah, my pleasure, mate. And hey, look, by doing it like this, hopefully, if Adam's listening to this, in Greece, he won't tell us off for going off on tangents or anything stupid.
Yeah, and I was going to say, obviously, Adam, enjoy listening to it and enjoy your holiday out there, mate. I know obviously it's for a wedding and that rather than just an absolute jolly up, but enjoy it, mate. And yeah, for our listeners and that, yep, thank you as well. And we shall see you later in the week for our final preview of the season.